If you don't choose me tonight, I swear to God, neither of us will live to see tomorrow. The voicemail lasted only 11 seconds, but when detectives first pressed play, the entire room fell silent. 11 seconds that would later unravel the dark spiral of obsession, manipulation, and a love story gone violently wrong. But before the ultimatum, before the crime scene photos and the trial, there was a young woman from suburban Ohio, a man she thought was her perfect match, and a relationship that seemed destined for forever. Her name was Allison Monroe, 27 years old, a pediatric nurse with a smile her colleagues swore could light up the darkest ER shifts. She had grown up in a small, tight-knit town where Friday night football games still dictated social calendars, and where neighbors brought casseroles to each other's porches without needing a reason. Allison wasn't the type you'd imagine caught up in a deadly love affair. She was steady, reliable, beloved by her patients and co-workers alike. If anything, she was the friend people leaned on when their own relationships fell apart. Her parents, Richard and Elaine, described her as someone who always wanted to fix people, even when they didn't want fixing. That tendency, to see the best in everyone, to look past flaws in hopes of finding something redeemable, would become the crack her killer used to slip inside. It started in 2019 at a neighborhood bar on the outskirts of Columbus. Allison was out with co-workers celebrating a long week, sipping a single glass of red wine when he walked in. Tyler Grayson. Handsome in a sharp but approachable way. Late 20s. The kind of guy who knew how to make strangers feel like old friends within 5 minutes. He wasn't just charming, he was magnetic. He bought a round of drinks for Allison's group, leaned casually against the bar, and locked eyes with her. He asked her questions no one else asked. What her favorite childhood book was, why she chose nursing, what made her laugh when no one was watching. By the end of the night, he had her number. By the end of the week, he was sending good morning texts. By the end of the month, Allison's friends were joking about, when's the wedding? Tyler seemed like the dream partner. Attentive, funny, quick to celebrate her wins. He showed up at her job with flowers, remembered her patients' names from the stories she told, even offered to help her parents when her father's back pain flared. To everyone else, he was perfect. But early on, there were signs, tiny ones, that hinted at something darker beneath the surface. Tyler didn't like when Allison went out with co-workers unless he was there too. If she didn't answer his texts within minutes, he'd flood her phone with question marks and, "Hello?" He often made casual jokes like, "You're way too pretty to be around guys who aren't me," half laughing, but his eyes would stay locked on hers, unblinking. Friends dismissed it as cute jealousy. Allison brushed it off as passion. She told herself it was refreshing to be wanted so much after years of lackluster dates. But then came the bigger gestures. Tyler insisted on driving her to and from shifts, even when she protested. He convinced her to share her location, just in case you ever get into trouble. He encouraged her to distance from a longtime male friend, calling him a snake. None of it seemed dangerous at first. Controlling maybe. Overly intense. But nothing she couldn't handle. In hindsight, Allison's co-workers remembered one night in particular. It was late in the hospital lounge when Allison looked down at her buzzing phone, sighed, and muttered under her breath, "If I don't text him back right now, he'll freak out." When someone asked what she meant, she laughed nervously. "He's just dramatic. He loves me a lot." It didn't sound sinister then. But later, after everything, that single moment would echo in every interview, every court testimony. Because when love turns into obsession, it doesn't announce itself with a scream. It whispers first. By the spring of 2020, Allison and Tyler had been together almost a year. On the outside, they were the picture-perfect couple. Instagram photos of hiking trips, matching Halloween costumes, dinners with her parents. But behind closed doors, the cracks were widening. And on one April evening, a neighbor would hear shouting through the walls, followed by a phrase that would chill her to her core. "If you ever try to leave me, I'll make sure nobody gets you." The neighbor almost knocked on Allison's door. Almost. What began as cute jealousy soon became suffocating control. Tyler installed a security camera above Allison's apartment door, claiming it was for her protection. But he demanded her login so he could monitor who came and went. He criticized her clothing choices. "Why do you need to wear that to work? Who are you trying to impress?" When Allison's best friend, Jenna Price, invited her on a weekend girls' trip, Tyler surprised Allison with a getaway of his own, scheduled for the exact same weekend. Her friends began to notice her withdrawal. Invitations declined. Texts left unanswered. Jenna finally confronted her. "Jenna, ally, you've changed. You don't laugh as much anymore. You're smaller somehow." Allison, defensive, "You don't get it. He loves me. Nobody's ever loved me like this before. By summer, Tyler had issued his first real ultimatum. If you move out of this apartment without me, we're done. Allison had been saving for her own townhouse, but Tyler insisted they live together. Couples who love each other don't live separately, he argued. Against her parents' quiet protest, she agreed. Living together only accelerated the toxicity. Arguments exploded over nothing. Missed calls, late shifts, friendly comments from male co-workers. Tyler's apologies came just as quickly as the outbursts. Flowers, tearful promises, love notes slipped into her work bag. But each cycle grew shorter and darker. By late 2020, Tyler's obsession tipped into paranoia. He scoured her phone when she showered. He tracked her spending. He showed up at her hospital parking lot unannounced, waiting for hours just to walk her to her car. One chilling night, Allison's neighbor overheard Tyler screaming, "If I can't have you, no one will." Everything came to a head on March 14, 2021. Allison had finally confided to Jenna that she wanted out. "I don't recognize myself anymore," she whispered, her hands trembling. "I feel like I'm walking on eggshells 24/7. Jenna urged her to leave immediately, even offered her spare room. But Allison hesitated. She feared what Tyler might do. That night, Allison told Tyler she needed a break. His response was icy calm. "If you walk away now, I promise you'll regret it. Forever." On March 20th, Allison finished her hospital shift at 11:30 p.m. Security cameras showed her walking to her car, looking exhausted but calm. She texted Jenna at 11:45, "Home safe. Talk tomorrow." That was the last message anyone ever received from her. The next morning, she didn't show up to work. She didn't answer calls. Her car wasn't in her apartment lot. At 9:17 a.m., Jenna called 911. When police entered Allison's apartment later that day, they found the front door locked, no signs of forced entry, and her phone left charging on the kitchen counter. But what chilled detectives most was the sticky note taped to her bathroom mirror, written in rushed, messy handwriting. "I'm sorry. I had no choice." 2 days later, Allison's car was discovered abandoned on a rural back road 40 miles from her home. Inside, her nurse's ID badge, a coffee thermos, and strands of her hair clinging to the headrest. But Allison herself was gone. Search teams combed the woods. Helicopters circled overhead. Volunteers stapled missing posters across the county. And then came the voicemail. When detectives subpoenaed Tyler's phone records, they discovered the 11-second message left at 12:04 a.m. on March 21st. "If you don't choose me tonight, I swear to God, neither of us will live to see tomorrow." Within a week, Tyler broke. During interrogation, he admitted what happened. After Allison told him she wanted space, he drove her car into the woods under the guise of talking privately. When she begged to go home, he snapped. He had brought a knife. He confessed to stabbing her during the argument, then burying her in a shallow grave near a creek bed. The community reeled. To those who knew them only from social media, Tyler and Allison had been the golden couple. Their feeds were full of smiling selfies, anniversary dinners, vacation sunsets. But behind those curated images was a cycle of control, fear, and psychological abuse that had escalated to murder. At trial, prosecutors painted Tyler as a textbook case of coercive control turned lethal. They replayed the voicemail in court, forcing jurors to hear the chilling ultimatum. Allison's parents wept silently in the front row. The defense tried to argue crime of passion, that Tyler lost control in a heated moment. But the evidence told a darker truth. The tracking apps, the surveillance, the threats, the ultimatum. This wasn't sudden. It was systematic. After 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict. Guilty of first-degree murder. Tyler was sentenced to life without parole. In the months following, Allison's story became a rallying cry in Ohio for stronger awareness of coercive control in relationships. Local organizations used her case to educate young adults about red flags. Isolation, ultimatums, surveillance disguised as protection. Her best friend Jenna said in interviews, "Allison was sunshine. And she thought she could love someone enough to heal their darkness. But some darkness doesn't want healing, it just wants to consume." Why do we miss the red flags? Why do ultimatums like, "choose me or else," get mistaken for passion instead of danger? Psychologists explain it simply. Obsession wears the mask of devotion. What starts as flattery, constant texts, jealousy disguised as love, slowly tightens into control. Victims don't realize they're trapped until the walls are already built around them. Allison believed she could manage Tyler's intensity, that she could love him into balance. But love isn't supposed to feel like surveillance. It isn't supposed to come with threats. And when obsession finally cornered her with the ultimatum, choose me or die, she never had a real choice at all. So now I leave you with this question. Would you have seen the danger signs? Or would you, like Allison, have been blinded by love too? If this story chilled you, subscribe for more true crime cases where passion turns deadly and love becomes the most dangerous weapon of all.